Hello, everyone. I am Natasha, your host for today. If you are new here, I want to let you know that we upload new English learning videos every single day to help you improve your English faster and more effectively. In today's episode, you are not only going to build your English vocabulary, but also learn how to use advanced words naturally in daily life conversations. This is a special English vocabulary practice masterclass where we will explore useful advanced words step by step, and I'll show you how to bring them into your real speaking practice. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to use new vocabulary in conversations confidently, understand how these words are used by fluent speakers, and apply them in your daily life so you can reach a higher level of English fluency. Before we start, make sure to subscribe to the channel and also press the bell icon if you'd like more helpful English learning lessons like this. So, grab a pen and paper and let's get started. Now, let's begin with our first set of advanced words. The first word I want to introduce to you is meticulous. This word means showing great attention to detail, being very careful and precise. For example, you could say, "She is very meticulous about her work, checking every small mistake before submitting it. Try repeating after me slowly." Meticulous. Again. Meticulous. Now use it in a sentence with me. I am meticulous when I prepare for an important meeting. Excellent. The second word is versatile. This means someone or something that is flexible and can be used in many different ways. For instance, English is a versatile language because you can use it in business, travel, and entertainment. Or, my friend is very versatile. She can cook, paint, and play the piano. Repeat with me. Versatile. Good. Again. Versatile. Now use it in your own sentence. I want to be a versatile English speaker. Great job. The third word for today is inevitable. This means something that is certain to happen and cannot be avoided. For example, if you keep practicing English every day, improvement is inevitable. Or, it was inevitable that technology would change the way we communicate. Say it with me. Inevitable. Once more, inevitable. Now, in a sentence. Making mistakes is inevitable when you learn a new language. Excellent practice. Let's pause here for a short reflection. Notice how each of these words, meticulous, versatile, and inevitable, can be connected to daily life. Think about your own life and try to use each of these words when describing something about yourself, your work, or your studies. The more personal your examples are, the easier it will be to remember them. Another powerful word that will help you sound more advanced in English is resilient. Resilient means able to recover quickly from difficulties, challenges, or tough situations. For example, even after facing many failures, she remained resilient and kept working toward her goals. Or, learning English requires a resilient attitude because sometimes you will feel frustrated, but you must continue. Repeat after me. Resilient. Once more. Resilient. Now try it in your own sentence. I am resilient when I face problems at work. Very good. The next word is articulate. This word describes someone who can express ideas clearly and effectively. For example, he is an articulate speaker who explains difficult topics in a simple way. Or, I wait and to become more articulate when I speak English. Say it with me. Articulate, again, articulate. Now in a sentence. She is articulate and confident in meetings. Excellent. Now let's look at alleviate. This is a very useful advanced word that means to reduce or make something less severe. For example, taking a short walk can alleviate stress, or learning English with a friend can alleviate the pressure of studying alone. Repeat after me. Alleviate. Once more. Alleviate. Now in a sentence. Listening to music alleviates my anxiety. Perfect. Let's practice these words together in a small exercise. Imagine you are talking to a friend about learning English. You can say, "Learning English can sometimes feel stressful, but I try to stay resilient. I also want to be articulate. When I share my ideas, watching fun videos alleviates the stress and keeps me motivated." Did you notice how resilient, articulate, and alleviate fit smoothly into daily life conversations? This is how you train your brain to use advanced vocabulary naturally. Now let's move on. Another great word is proficient. This means being skilled and competent in something. For example, she is proficient in both English and Spanish. Or, I want to be proficient in using English at work. Say it with me. Proficient. Again. Proficient. Now, in a sentence, he is proficient in computer programming and English communication. Very good. Next is ambiguous. This means something that is unclear or has more than one possible meaning. For example, the question was ambiguous, so I wasn't sure how to answer. Or, sometimes English words are ambiguous and depend on context. Say it with me. Ambiguous. Again, ambiguous. Now in a sentence. The directions were ambiguous, and I got lost. Excellent. One more useful word is empathy. Empathy means the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. For example, good friends show empathy when you are sad. Or, teachers need empathy to understand their students' struggles. Repeat after me, empathy. Once more, empathy. Now in a sentence. I try to show empathy when someone is upset. Great practice. Let's create a mini conversation using these words. Imagine two friends talking. One says, I want to be proficient in English, but sometimes the grammar feels ambiguous. Still, I know being resilient will help me improve. Having a teacher with empathy also alleviates my stress. And one day, I hope to be articulate in every conversation. This type of practice makes the words stick in your memory because you're not only hearing the word, you're using it in realistic situations. The next word I want to share with you is contemplate. This means to think deeply about something, often for a long time. For example, before making a big decision, she likes to contemplate all the possibilities. Or, I often contemplate how to improve my English learning methods. Say it with me. Contemplate. Once more. Contemplate. Now in a sentence. He sat quietly to contemplate his future. Excellent. Now let's try diligent. Diligent describes someone who works very hard and puts consistent effort into what they do. For example, she is a diligent student who studies every day. Or, if you are diligent in practicing English, you will definitely improve. Repeat after me. Diligent. Again. Diligent. Now use it in your own sentence. I am diligent when I learn new vocabulary. Very good. Another strong word is eloquent. This means someone who speaks or writes in a very clear, persuasive, and powerful way. For example, the professor gave an eloquent speech that inspired the students. Or, I want to become eloquent when I express my opinions in English. Say it with me. Eloquent. Again. Eloquent. Now in a sentence. She is eloquent when she speaks about her passion. Excellent practice. Let's also look at reluctant. This word means unwilling or hesitant to do something. For example, he was reluctant to join the meeting because he wasn't prepared. Or, I sometimes feel reluctant to speak English because I'm afraid of mistakes. Repeat after me. Reluctant. Once more. Reluctant. Now in a sentence. She was reluctant to try the new food. Very good. Another useful advanced word is scrutinize. This means to examine something very carefully and in detail. For example, the manager scrutinized the report before approving it. Or, when you learn a new word, scrutinize how native speakers use it in different contexts. Say it with me. Scrutinize. Again. Scrutinize. Now in a sentence, I scrutinize my essays before submitting them. Excellent. Let's practice these words together in a short exercise. Imagine you are explaining your learning process. You might say, I like to contemplate new ways to study. I stay diligent by practicing every day. I hope to be eloquent when I speak. Sometimes I feel reluctant, but I keep going. I also scrutinize my mistakes carefully so I can improve. Did you notice how natural it feels to use these words when you create sentences from your own life? That's the secret to remembering advanced vocabulary. You must connect it directly to your experiences. Now let's go further. Another advanced word is persevere. This means to continue trying even when things are difficult. For example, she had to persevere through many challenges to achieve success. Or, if you persevere in your English practice, you will definitely improve over time. Say it with me. Persevere. Again, persevere. Now, in a sentence, I will persevere even when English feels hard. Very good. Next is candid. This means being honest, open, and straightforward. For example, he was candid about his mistakes and wanted to improve. Or, I appreciate candid feedback because it helps me grow. Say it with me. Candid. Again, candid. Now in a sentence, she gave a candid opinion about the project. Excellent. And another important one, exuberant. This means full of energy, excitement, and enthusiasm. For example, the children were exuberant after winning the game. Or, She felt exuberant when she finally passed her English exam. Repeat after me. Exuberant. Once more. Exuberant. Now in a sentence. He was exuberant at the party. Wonderful. Here's a quick role-play practice. Imagine you are talking about your journey with English learning. You might say, I have to persevere every day, even when I feel reluctant. I try to be candid with myself about my weaknesses, and I stay exuberant because learning English brings me joy. This way, vocabulary practice feels more like real conversation and not just memorization. The next advanced word I want you to learn is astute. This describes someone who is clever and able to notice and understand things quickly. For example, she is an astute businesswoman who makes smart decisions. Or, you must be astute when listening to English speakers so you can catch small details. Say it with me. Astute. Again. Astute. Now, in a sentence, he gave an astute observation during the discussion. Excellent. Now let's move to benevolent. This means kind, generous, and wanting to help others. For example, he was a benevolent teacher who always cared about his students. Or, speaking kindly to yourself is a benevolent habit when you are learning English. Repeat after me. Benevolent. Once more. Benevolent. Now in a sentence. The organization is benevolent and supports poor families. Wonderful. Another useful word is concur. This means to agree with someone or share the same opinion. For example, I concur with your idea about starting early. Or, most experts concur that practice is the key to fluency. Say it with me. Concur. Again. Concur. Now, in a sentence, I concur that daily speaking practice is important. Very good. Let's practice these 3 words in a mini dialogue. Imagine someone says, I think practicing English for 15 minutes daily can help. You can reply, I concur. That is an astute idea. Only a benevolent teacher would remind students to keep their practice short but consistent. See how natural it feels when you connect the words? The next advanced word is cynical. This describes someone who often doubts other people's intentions or believes people act only for selfish reasons. For example, he was cynical about politicians. Or, don't be too cynical about your progress. Trust yourself. Say it with me. Cynical. Again. Cynical. Now, in a sentence, she felt cynical about promises that were never kept. Good job. Now, let's explore daunting. This means something that seems very difficult or intimidating. For example, speaking English in public can feel daunting at first, or climbing a mountain is a daunting challenge. Say it with me. Daunting. Again. Daunting. Now in a sentence, preparing for an English exam felt daunting, but I did it. Excellent. Another important word is eclectic. This describes something made up of a wide variety of styles, ideas, or sources. For example, she has an eclectic taste in music. Or, you should build an eclectic vocabulary by learning words from books, movies, and conversations. Repeat after me. Eclectic. Once more. Eclectic. Now, in a sentence, his bookshelf was eclectic, filled with novels, science books, and poetry. Perfect. Let's combine these words in practice. You can say, at first, learning new vocabulary felt daunting, but I realized an eclectic approach, mixing books, videos, and conversations, made it easier. Sometimes people can be cynical and say it's too hard, but I concur with teachers who remind us to persevere. I think it's astute to remember that learning English is a journey, and being benevolent to yourself makes it enjoyable. Do you feel how much more advanced your sentences sound now? This is exactly what advanced English practice should feel like: natural, personal, and powerful. Now let's keep going. Another advanced word is formidable. This describes something or someone that inspires fear, respect, or is extremely impressive. For example, the team faced a formidable opponent in the championship. Or, English may feel like a formidable challenge, but it's possible to overcome it. Say it with me: formidable. Again, formidable. Now, in a sentence, she is a formidable leader with strong skills. Great. Next is lucid. This means clear and easy to understand. For example, the teacher gave a lucid explanation of grammar. Or, I need to make my ideas more lucid in English conversations. Repeat after me: lucid. Once more, lucid. Now in a sentence, the instructions were lucid and easy to follow. Excellent. And finally, let's look at metaphor. This is an advanced vocabulary word often used in literature and conversation to describe something by comparing it to something else. For example, time is a thief is a metaphor, meaning time takes things away like a thief. Or, in English, we often use metaphors in daily conversation. Say it with me: metaphor. Again, metaphor. Now, in a sentence, the poet used a metaphor to describe love. Wonderful. Here's a short exercise. Learning English is a journey. Sometimes it feels daunting and formidable, but when teachers give lucid explanations, things become clear. Using metaphors makes English more beautiful and expressive. And when you add eclectic resources to your study, you will always find something new. The next word I want to introduce is notorious. This word means being famous for something negative or bad. For example, the street is notorious for traffic jams. Or, he is notorious for arriving late to meetings. Say it with me: notorious. Again, notorious. Now in a sentence, that restaurant is notorious for its slow service. Very good. Now let's learn plausible. This means something that seems reasonable or believable. For example, it's plausible that you can reach fluency if you practice daily. Or, her explanation was plausible, but I wasn't fully convinced. Repeat after me: plausible. Once more: plausible. Now, in a sentence, it's plausible that the train will be delayed. Excellent. Another advanced word is scrupulous. This describes someone who is very careful, honest, and does things with a strong sense of right and wrong. For example, the lawyer was scrupulous in her preparation. Or, be scrupulous when you check your English writing so you don't miss mistakes. Say it with me: scrupulous. Again, scrupulous. Now in a sentence, he is scrupulous about telling the truth. Great job. Let's also try tenacious. This means being very determined and not giving up easily. For example, she is tenacious in her studies, never missing a day. Or, to learn English fluently, you must be tenacious. Say it with me: tenacious. Again, tenacious. Now in a sentence, He is tenacious when it comes to solving problems. Wonderful. Now here's an important one. Vindicate. This means to clear someone of blame or prove something is correct. For example, the evidence helped vindicate the innocent man, or her success vindicated her decision to study abroad. Say it with me. Vindicate. Again. Vindicate. Now in a sentence, the results vindicated his hard work. Excellent. Let's create a small practice dialogue with these words. She is a tenacious learner. Even though English felt difficult, her scrupulous practice habits helped her improve. People thought she wouldn't succeed, but her success vindicated her efforts. Now it's plausible that she will reach advanced fluency soon. She's no longer notorious for giving up. Instead, she's admired. Now, let's keep going. Another advanced word is ambivalent. This describes having mixed feelings about something. For example, she felt ambivalent about moving to a new city, or I feel ambivalent when I think about speaking English in front of strangers. Say it with me. Ambivalent. Again, ambivalent. Now, in a sentence, he was ambivalent about accepting the new job. Very good. Next is copious. This means a large amount or abundant. For example, she took copious notes during the lecture. Or, you need copious practice to master advanced English vocabulary. Say it with me. Copious. Again, copious. Now, in a sentence, he drank copious amounts of water after running. Excellent. Another word is discern. This means to recognize, notice, or understand something clearly. For example, I could discern a hint of sadness in her voice. Or, learners must discern the difference between similar English words. Say it with me. Discern. Again. Discern. Now, in a sentence, it's hard to discern the details from far away. Great practice. One more powerful word is ephemeral. This means something that lasts only a short time. For example, the beauty of a sunset is ephemeral. Or, motivation can be ephemeral if you don't build strong habits. Say it with me. Ephemeral. Again, ephemeral. Now in a sentence, the excitement was ephemeral and soon faded away. Perfect. Here's a short, reflective exercise. Learning English requires tenacious effort. Motivation can be ephemeral, but diligent habits make it last. When you are scrupulous in practice, you can discern your progress. Sometimes you may feel ambivalent, but copious repetition will vindicate your efforts. Remember, success is always plausible if you stay consistent. The next advanced word I want you to practice is gregarious. This means someone who is very sociable and enjoys being around other people. For example, she is gregarious and loves to attend parties. Or, a gregarious personality can make learning English easier because you practice more with others. Say it with me. Gregarious. Again, gregarious. Now, in a sentence, he is gregarious and makes friends quickly. Excellent. Now let's look at impeccable. This means perfect, without any faults or mistakes. For example, her English pronunciation is impeccable, or he always dresses with impeccable style. Repeat after me. Impeccable. Once more. Impeccable. Now, in a sentence, she gave an impeccable presentation at work. Very good. Another useful word is melancholy. This means a deep feeling of sadness often without a clear reason. For example, he felt a sense of melancholy as he walked through the old town. Or, sometimes when I miss my hometown, I feel melancholy. Say it with me, melancholy. Again, melancholy. Now in a sentence, the song filled her with melancholy. Wonderful. Next, let's try novice. This describes someone who is new to a skill or activity. For example, she is still a novice at cooking. Or, when I first started English, I was a complete novice. Say it with me, novice. Again, novice. Now, in a sentence, I am no longer a novice in English speaking. Excellent. Another advanced word is obsolete. This means outdated, no longer in use, or unnecessary. For example, typewriters are now obsolete, or some old English expressions have become obsolete. Repeat after me. Obsolete. Once more, obsolete. Now, in a sentence, that technology is obsolete and rarely used today. Great job. Let's create a practice paragraph with these words. When I was a novice in English, I sometimes felt melancholy because I couldn't express myself. But I realized that with practice, my skills improved. Now my pronunciation is almost impeccable. I try to stay gregarious by joining group conversations. I also avoid using obsolete words and focus on the vocabulary people use today. Now, let's keep moving. Another word you should learn is paradox. A paradox is a situation or statement that seems contradictory but may still be true. For example, it's a paradox that the more we learn, the more we realize how little we know. Or, it feels like a paradox that speaking less sometimes communicates more. Say it with me, paradox. Again, paradox. Now, in a sentence, it's a paradox that silence can be powerful. Very good. Now let's practice quintessential. This means representing the perfect example of something. For example, he is the quintessential English gentleman, or tea is the quintessential British drink. Repeat after me. Quintessential. Once more. Quintessential. Now, in a sentence, she is the quintessential hard-working student. Excellent. Another strong word is ravenous. This means extremely hungry or having a strong desire for something. For example, after the long hike, I was ravenous. Or, learners can be ravenous for new English words. Say it with me, ravenous. Again, ravenous. Now, in a sentence, he was ravenous and ate 3 plates of food. Great. Next is scramble. This means to move quickly or to struggle to achieve something. For example, the students scrambled to finish their assignments. Or, I scrambled to find the right English word during the conversation. Say it with me. Scramble. Again, scramble. Now, in a sentence, we had to scramble to catch the bus. Excellent. Let's join these in practice. It's a paradox that even advanced learners sometimes scramble to find the right words. But when you are ravenous for learning, you improve quickly. Tea might be the quintessential example of British culture, but practicing daily is the quintessential habit of successful English learners. Even when you feel melancholy, remember that you are not a novice anymore and your progress is impeccable. The next advanced word I want you to learn is serendipity. This means the unexpected discovery of something good or pleasant by chance. For example, it was pure serendipity that I met my best friend while traveling. Or, finding a great English teacher online was a moment of serendipity. Say it with me, serendipity. Again, serendipity. Now, in a sentence, it was serendipity that I discovered a wonderful cafe while walking. Excellent. Now, let's look at transient. This means temporary, lasting only for a short time. For example, the city has a large transient population of tourists. Or, frustration in learning English is transient. It will pass if you keep practicing. Repeat after me. Transient. Once more. Transient. Now in a sentence, our difficulties are transient, not permanent. Very good. Another word is utopia. This means an imagined perfect world where everything is ideal. For example, some people dream of living in a utopia without problems. Or for many learners, fluency feels like a utopia, but with practice, it becomes real. Say it with me, utopia. Again, utopia. Now in a sentence, they imagined a utopia where everyone spoke one language. Great job. Next is vigilant. This means being watchful, alert, and careful to notice problems or danger. For example, the guard stayed vigilant throughout the night, or you must be vigilant when listening to native speakers to catch small details. Say it with me. Vigilant. Again, vigilant. Now in a sentence, parents are vigilant about their children's safety. Excellent. Now here's a powerful one. Whimsical. This means playful, unusual, or imaginative. For example, the artist created whimsical paintings filled with bright colors. Or, sometimes children ask whimsical questions that make us smile. Repeat after me, whimsical. Once more, whimsical. Now in a sentence, she decorated her room in a whimsical style. Wonderful. Let's make a short practice reflection. When learning English, frustration is transient. Sometimes serendipity helps you discover a new word in a book or movie. Staying vigilant ensures you notice details. Even whimsical exercises can bring fun into your practice. And little by little, fluency starts to feel less like a utopia and more like reality. Now let's move forward. Another advanced word is zealous. This means showing strong enthusiasm and passion for something. For example, he is zealous about helping others, or be zealous about practicing English every day. Say it with me. Zealous. Again, zealous. Now in a sentence. She was zealous in her studies and achieved great results. Very good. Next, let's learn austere. This means very simple, plain, or strict. For example, the teacher had an austere classroom with no decorations, or her lifestyle was austere with few luxuries. Say it with me, austere. Again, austere. Now, in a sentence, the monastery had an austere atmosphere. Excellent. Another important word is conspicuous. This means very noticeable or easy to see. For example, her red dress made her conspicuous in the crowd. Or, mistakes can be conspicuous when you speak, but don't worry, everyone makes them. Say it with me. Conspicuous. Again. Conspicuous. Now, in a sentence, the error was conspicuous in the report. Perfect. And let's add dormant. This means inactive for a time, but capable of becoming active again. For example, the volcano had been dormant for years. Or, sometimes your English skills feel dormant until you practice again. Repeat after me. Dormant. Once more. Dormant. Now in a sentence. Her creativity was dormant until she started painting again. Excellent. Here's a practice exercise combining these words. Sometimes my motivation feels dormant, but when I become zealous again, I find joy in learning. Mistakes can be conspicuous, but they teach me lessons. I don't want an austere learning style. I add whimsical and fun activities, and thanks to serendipity, I often find new resources. Every difficulty is transient if I stay vigilant. The next advanced word is affluent. This describes someone who is wealthy, having a lot of money and resources. For example, she grew up in an affluent neighborhood. Or, learning English is now accessible to people beyond just the affluent class. Say it with me. Affluent. Again. Affluent. Now in a sentence. The city is known for its affluent residents. Excellent. Now let's explore boisterous. This means noisy, energetic, and cheerful. For example, the children were boisterous at the birthday party. Or, the crowd grew boisterous during the football match. Repeat after me. Boisterous. Once more. Boisterous. Now in a sentence. The classroom was boisterous before the teacher arrived. Very good. Another important word is camaraderie. This means a feeling of friendship, trust, and companionship in a group. For example, the soldiers built strong camaraderie during training. Or, joining an English learning group can give you camaraderie and motivation. Say it with me. Camaraderie. Again. Camaraderie. Now in a sentence. There was camaraderie among the students in the class. Wonderful. Next is dexterous. This describes someone skillful with their hands or mind. For example, the dexterous pianist played the piece perfectly. Or, she is dexterous in solving difficult problems quickly. Say it with me. Dexterous. Again. Dexterous. Now in a sentence, he is dexterous at fixing machines. Excellent. Now let's learn eloquence. This is the quality of expressing ideas clearly, beautifully, and persuasively. For example, her eloquence moved the audience. Or, you can develop eloquence in English by practicing daily speaking. Repeat after me. Eloquence. Once more, eloquence. Now in a sentence. The leader spoke with eloquence about the future. Very good. Let's join these in a practice example. In an English learning group, camaraderie keeps everyone motivated. Some students are dexterous at picking up new words. Others grow eloquence by practicing speeches. The atmosphere might become boisterous with laughter, but it is positive. And whether you come from an affluent background or not, English is for everyone. Now let's continue with more advanced words. Frivolous. This means silly, not serious, or unimportant. For example, he spent money on frivolous items. Or, don't waste time on frivolous distractions when you want to study. Say it with me. Frivolous. Again. Frivolous. Now in a sentence. The complaint was dismissed as frivolous. Excellent. Next is hinder. This means to create difficulties or obstacles. For example, lack of practice can hinder your English progress, or heavy traffic hindered our journey. Say it with me. Hinder. Again. Hinder. Now in a sentence. Fear of mistakes can hinder your confidence. Great job. Another useful word is idiosyncrasy. This means a unique or unusual habit, feature, or way of behaving. For example, one of her idiosyncrasies is humming while she studies. Or, every learner has their own idiosyncrasies in how they practice English. Say it with me. Idiosyncrasy. Again. Idiosyncrasy. Now in a sentence. His idiosyncrasy is wearing mismatched socks. Wonderful. Now let's practice jubilant. This means feeling extremely happy and joyful. For example, the fans were jubilant after the victory. Or, I felt jubilant when I passed my English exam. Say it with me. Jubilant. Again. Jubilant. Now in a sentence. She was jubilant when she received the award. Excellent. And one more. Keen. This means eager, interested, or having sharp perception. For example, he is keen to improve his English skills. Or, she has a keen sense of observation. Repeat after me. Keen. Again. Keen. Now in a sentence. I am keen on learning new vocabulary every day. Very good. Let's tie them together in a reflection. Sometimes frivolous distractions can hinder your learning, but when you stay keen, your progress grows faster. Every student has an idiosyncrasy in how they study. Some celebrate jubilant moments when they succeed, the camaraderie of learning together, even in a boisterous group, can make the journey joyful and productive. The next advanced word I want you to learn is elucidate. This means to make something clear or explain something in detail. For example, the teacher elucidated the difficult concept so that everyone understood. Or, I try to elucidate my ideas in English to avoid confusion. Say it with me. Elucidate. Again. Elucidate. Now in a sentence. She elucidated her plans for the project. Excellent. Now let's learn. Magnanimous. This describes someone who is very generous and forgiving, especially towards someone less powerful or even towards an enemy. For example, he was magnanimous in victory and congratulated his opponent. Or, being magnanimous in conversations shows maturity. Repeat after me. Magnanimous. Once more. Magnanimous. Now in a sentence. She was magnanimous enough to forgive his mistake. Very good. Another powerful word is nefarious. This means wicked, evil, or criminal. For example, the gang was involved in nefarious activities. Or, spreading lies is a nefarious habit. Say it with me. Nefarious. Again. Nefarious. Now in a sentence. The villain had a nefarious plan. Excellent. Next, let's practice. Obstinate. This means stubborn, refusing to change one's opinion or behavior. For example, He was obstinate and refused to listen to advice. Or, sometimes children can be obstinate when they don't want to study. Say it with me. Obstinate. Again. Obstinate. Now, in a sentence, she remained obstinate even when she was wrong. Wonderful. Another advanced word is pragmatic. This means dealing with things in a realistic, practical way, rather than an idealistic way. For example, she took a pragmatic approach to solving the problem. Or, when learning English, be pragmatic. Set realistic goals and work consistently. Say it with me. Pragmatic. Again. Pragmatic. Now, in a sentence, he gave pragmatic advice about saving money. Excellent. Now, let's join these words together in practice. Even when someone is obstinate, you can be magnanimous and forgive them. Beware of nefarious influences that waste your time. Be pragmatic in your study plans. And when you elucidate your ideas clearly, you will build confidence in English conversations. Let's move on to more. Quell. This means to stop, calm, or end something, often violence, fear, or doubts. For example, the teacher tried to quell the noise, class. Or, deep breathing can quell nervousness before speaking English. Say it with me. Quell. Again. Quell. Now in a sentence, he managed to quell his anger. Excellent. Next is rhetoric. This refers to the art of effective or persuasive speaking and writing. For example, the politician's rhetoric inspired the audience. Or, you can improve your English rhetoric by practicing public speaking. Repeat after me. Rhetoric. Again. Rhetoric. Now in a sentence, his rhetoric was powerful and convincing. Very good. Another advanced word is sagacious. This means wise, having good judgment and insight. For example, she was a sagacious leader who guided her team wisely. Or, a sagacious learner chooses the right methods to improve English. Say it with me. Sagacious. Again. Sagacious. Now in a sentence, his sagacious advice helped me succeed. Excellent. And let's add tirade. This means a long, angry speech of criticism or accusation. For example, the coach gave a tirade after the team lost. Or, she launched into a tirade about unfair treatment. Say it with me. Tirade. Again. Tirade. Now, in a sentence, the manager's tirade shocked the employees. Great. Here's a reflective practice. Sometimes you may face a tirade from someone who is obstinate, but remain magnanimous. Stay sagacious. And use rhetoric carefully. Quell your own nervousness with calm breathing. And remember to be pragmatic. Small daily steps are stronger than big, unrealistic plans. The next advanced word I want you to practice is ubiquitous. This means something that seems to be everywhere at the same time. For example, smartphones are ubiquitous in today's world. Or, English words from movies are ubiquitous in conversations across the globe. Say it with me. Ubiquitous. Again. Ubiquitous. Now in a sentence, social media has become ubiquitous in daily life. Excellent. Now let's learn vicarious. This describes experiencing something through the feelings or actions of another person. For example, she felt vicarious joy when her friend won the competition. Or, watching movies in English gives you a vicarious experience of another culture. Repeat after me, vicarious. Once more, vicarious. Now in a sentence, I lived vicariously through the characters in the book. Very good. Another powerful word is wary. This means being cautious or careful because you don't fully trust a situation. For example, he was wary of strangers, or be wary of false promises when choosing online courses. Say it with me. Wary. Again, wary. Now, in a sentence, she was wary about walking alone at night. Excellent. Next, let's practice yearn. This means to have a strong desire or longing for something. For example, he yearned for freedom, or many learners yearn to speak English fluently. Say it with me. Yearn. Again, yearn. Now, in a sentence, I yearn for the day I can travel and speak confidently. Wonderful. Another advanced word is zenith. This means the highest point, peak, or most successful moment. For example, the empire reached its zenith in the 18th century, or when you achieve fluency, you feel at the zenith of your English journey. Say it with me, zenith. Again, zenith. Now in a sentence, the singer was at the zenith of her career. Excellent. Let's combine these words in practice. English has become ubiquitous across the world. Many students yearn to master it and reach the zenith of fluency. Some feel wary of challenges, but watching movies offers vicarious experiences that help. Stay patient and keep practicing, and you'll move closer to your goal. Now, let's keep going. Another useful word is adamant. This means refusing to be persuaded or to change your mind. For example, he was adamant about his decision. Or, she was adamant that she would learn English no matter how difficult it was. Say it with me. Adamant. Now, in a sentence, the teacher was adamant about deadlines. Excellent. Next is belligerent. This means aggressive or hostile. For example, the belligerent customer shouted at the staff, or don't be belligerent when correcting others' mistakes. Say it with me. Belligerent. Again, belligerent. Now, in a sentence, his belligerent tone made everyone uncomfortable. Very good. Another advanced word is candidness. This refers to being open, honest, and straightforward in expression. For example, I appreciated her candidness during the discussion. Or, candidness in feedback helps learners grow. Say it with me. Candidness. Again, candidness. Now, in a sentence, his candidness made the conversation refreshing. Wonderful. Now let's try detrimental. This means causing harm or damage. For example, smoking is detrimental to health, or lack of practice is detrimental to language learning. Say it with me, detrimental. Again, detrimental. Now, in a sentence, negative thinking is detrimental to progress. Excellent. And finally, let's practice epiphany. This means a sudden realization or clear understanding of something. For example, she had an epiphany about how to solve the problem. Or, I had an epiphany that daily practice is the key to fluency. Say it with me. Epiphany. Again, epiphany. Now, in a sentence, He experienced an epiphany while reading the book. Perfect. Here's a short reflection exercise. Sometimes we yearn for progress and suddenly experience an epiphany about what works best. Be wary of detrimental habits and instead embrace candidness in your practice. Don't become belligerent with yourself when you make mistakes. Stay adamant about your goals, and one day you'll reach the zenith of your English journey. The next advanced word I want you to learn is feasible. This means possible, practical, or achievable. For example, it is feasible to learn 10 new words every woo. The plan was not feasible due to lack of resources. Say it with me. Feasible. Again. Feasible. Now in a sentence. Daily short practice is more feasible than studying for 5 hours once a week. Excellent. Now let's learn galvanize. This means to shock or inspire someone into action. For example, the speech galvanized the audience into working harder. Or, seeing progress can galvanize you to practice English even more. Repeat after me. Galvanize. Once more. Galvanize. Now in a sentence. Her teacher's words galvanized her to keep learning. Very good. Another useful word is harrowing. This means extremely distressing, upsetting, or disturbing. For example, it was a harrowing experience to be lost in the forest. Or, speaking in public for the first time can feel harrowing. Say it with me. Harrowing. Again. Harrowing. Now in a sentence. The movie told a harrowing story of survival. Wonderful. Next, let's practice imminent. This means about to happen, very soon. For example, the storm is imminent, so take shelter. Or, your improvement is imminent if you practice consistently. Say it with me. Imminent. Again. Imminent. Now, in a sentence. The teacher announced that a test was imminent. Excellent. Another advanced word is juxtapose. This means to place two things side by side for comparison. For example, the artist juxtaposed modern and traditional styles in her work. Or, you can juxtapose formal English with casual English to see the differences. Say it with me. Juxtapose. Again. Juxtapose. Now, in a sentence. The report juxtaposed data from last year and this year. Great. Let's use these words in practice. At first, speaking in English felt harrowing. But then I realized small steps were feasible. The teacher's encouragement galvanized me to try. Improvement was imminent once I created a good routine. And when I juxtaposed my old recordings with new ones, I could clearly hear progress. Now let's continue. Another advanced word is kinetic. This relates to movement or energy. For example, the dancer's performance was full of kinetic energy. Or, speaking practice gives kinetic energy to your English learning. Say it with me. Kinetic. Again. Kinetic. Now in a sentence. The child's kinetic energy filled the playground. Excellent. Next is lethargic. This means feeling tired, sluggish, or lacking energy. For example, after the long day, she felt lethargic. Or, Sometimes learners feel lethargic, but even 5 minutes of practice helps. Say it with me. Lethargic. Again. Lethargic. Now, in a sentence, I felt lethargic after staying up all night. Very good. Another advanced word is metamorphosis. This means a complete change or transformation. For example, the caterpillar undergoes metamorphosis to become a butterfly. Or, your English skills can go through metamorphosis with practice. Say it with me. Metamorphosis. Again. Metamorphosis. Now in a sentence, her confidence went through a metamorphosis after joining the course. Wonderful. Now let's practice nuance. This means a small difference or subtle detail in meaning, expression, or tone. For example, there are nuances in English pronunciation that learners must notice. Or, the actor delivered the line with nuance. Say it with me. Nuance. Again. Nuance. Now in a sentence, understanding cultural nuances helps you sound natural in English. Excellent. And one more. Ornate. This means highly decorated or detailed. For example, the palace was filled with ornate furniture, or she used ornate language in her essay. Say it with me. Ornate. Again. Ornate. Now in a sentence, the church had ornate carvings on the walls. Perfect. Here's a quick reflection using all these words. Learning English can feel like a harrowing challenge. But improvement is imminent with consistent effort. Even when you feel lethargic, try to add kinetic energy to your practice. Your skills will go through a metamorphosis. Notice the nuances of English expressions. And don't get lost in ornate words that are not used in daily life. Instead, focus on feasible goals that galvanize your motivation. The next advanced word I want you to learn is paragon. This means a perfect example of a particular quality. For example, she is a paragon of kindness. Or, he became a paragon of patience while helping his classmates. Say it with me, paragon. Again, paragon. Now, in a sentence, the teacher was a paragon of wisdom. Excellent. Now let's try quintessence. This means the purest, most perfect example of something. For example, he is the quintessence of a professional, or practice is the quintessence of learning English. Repeat after me, quintessence. Again, quintessence. Now, in a sentence, the painting is the quintessence of beauty. Very good. Another useful word is relinquish. This means to give up or let go of something. For example, he had to relinquish control of the company. Or, don't relinquish your dream of fluency. Say it with me. Relinquish. Again. Relinquish. Now, in a sentence, she decided to relinquish her seat to the older passenger. Wonderful. Next, let's learn stoic. This means someone who can endure pain or hardship without showing feelings or complaining. For example, he remained stoic during the difficult times. Or, a stoic attitude helps learners push through mistakes. Say it with me. Stoic. Again, stoic. Now in a sentence, she stayed stoic even when criticized. Excellent. Another advanced word is tenuous. This means weak, uncertain, or fragile. For example, the connection between the two ideas was tenuous. Say it with me, tenuous. Again, tenuous. Now in a sentence, the evidence was tenuous and not convincing. Perfect. Now let's practice with a reflection. At first, my confidence in English was tenuous, but I refused to relinquish my goal. I stayed stoic even when I made mistakes. Over time, practice became the quintessence of my progress, and now I hope to be a paragon of fluency for others. Now let's continue with more. Unprecedented. This means never done or known before without previous example. For example, the team achieved unprecedented success, or online learning has grown at an unprecedented rate. Say it with me. Unprecedented. Again, unprecedented. Now, in a sentence, the company faced unprecedented challenges. Excellent. Next is viable. This means capable of working successfully, practical. For example, daily practice is a viable method to learn English, or the plan was not financially viable. Repeat after me. Viable. Again, viable. Now in a sentence, this idea is viable and worth trying. Very good. Another word is withstand. This means to resist or survive something difficult. For example, the building can withstand earthquakes. Or, you must withstand the frustration of mistakes to improve. Say it with me. Withstand. Again, withstand. Now, in a sentence, he can withstand pressure at work. Wonderful. Now let's try zeal. This means great energy or passion in pursuit of something. For example, she studied with zeal, or bring zeal into your English practice. Say it with me. Zeal. Again. Zeal. Now in a sentence, he showed great zeal in helping others. Excellent. And one more advanced word here. Aloof. This means distant, not friendly or emotionally detached. For example, she seemed aloof at the party. Or, some people stay aloof because they lack confidence in English. Say it with me. Aloof. Again, aloof. Now in a sentence. He remained aloof during the meeting. Great. Let's practice wit and aid these together. Sometimes learners seem aloof because they fear making mistakes, but with zeal, they can withstand difficulties. Small, viable steps lead to success. The progress you achieve may feel unprecedented. Don't relinquish your goal. Stay stoic, stay strong, and soon you'll be the paragon of fluency. The next advanced word is brevity. This means using few words to express something clearly and effectively. For example, the speaker impressed the audience with the brevity of his explanation. Or, in English, brevity is useful when giving clear answers. Say it with me. Brevity. Again, brevity. Now in a sentence, her message had power because of its brevity. Excellent. Now let's learn conundrum. This means a difficult problem or puzzle. For example, the mystery presented a real conundrum for the detective. Or, choosing the right word in English can feel like a conundrum. Repeat after me. Conundrum. Again. Conundrum. Now in a sentence. I faced a conundrum about which option to choose. Very good. Another useful word is detract. This means to reduce or take away from the value or importance of something. For example, his rude behavior detracted from the meeting. Or, a few mistakes don't detract from your overall progress in English. Say it with me. Detract. Again, detract. Now in a sentence, the noise detracted from the performance. Wonderful. Next is eccentric. This describes someone who behaves in unusual or strange ways, but often in an interesting manner. For example, the eccentric artist wore colorful, mismatched clothes. Or, some learners have eccentric methods that still work for them. Say it with me. Eccentric. Again, eccentric. Now in a sentence, he is eccentric but very creative. Excellent. Another advanced word is futile. This means useless, producing no result. For example, it's futile to argue when no one is listening. Or, it's never futile to practice English. Every step helps you improve. Say it with me. Futile. Again, futile. Now in a sentence, the rescue attempt was futile. Perfect. Let's practice them together. Sometimes learning English feels like a conundrum. You may make mistakes, but those don't detract from your progress. Even eccentric study habits can be effective. Never think your effort is futile. Even small steps matter. And remember, brevity in communication is often more powerful than long explanations. Now let's continue with more. Grueling. This means very tiring and demanding. For example, the marathon was grueling, or memorizing hundreds of words in one day is grueling and not effective. Say it with me. Grueling. Again, grueling. Now in a sentence, the students went through a grueling exam. Excellent. Next is hubris. This means excessive pride or arrogance. For example, his hubris led to his downfall. Or, avoid hubris. Stay humble in your English learning journey. Repeat after me. Hubris. Again, hubris. Now in a sentence, her hubris made her ignore helpful advice. Very good. Another advanced word is ingenuity. This means cleverness, creativity, or skill in finding solutions. For example, the invention was a product of ingenuity. Or, learners often show ingenuity when creating practice methods. Say it with me. Ingenuity. Again, ingenuity. Now, in a sentence, his ingenuity solved the problem quickly. Wonderful. Now, let's practice jargon. This refers to specialized words used by a particular profession or group. For example, the lawyer used legal jargon that was hard to understand. Or, avoid too much jargon in English. Use clear words. Say it with me. Jargon. Again, jargon. Now in a sentence, medical jargon can be confusing to patients. Excellent. And one more. Kinship. This means a sense of connection, family-like bond, or relationship between people. For example, they felt kinship because of their shared experiences. Or, in English learning groups, you can build kinship with others who share your goal. Say it with me. Kinship. Again, kinship. Now in a sentence, a strong kinship grew among the classmates. Great. Here's a reflection practice. English can sometimes feel like a grueling challenge, but use your ingenuity to find fun ways of practicing. Avoid hubris and accept help from others. Build kinship with fellow learners. Be careful not to get lost in jargon and focus instead on clarity. Even when it feels futile, remember, progress is happening step by step. The next advanced word I want you to learn is lament. This means to express sadness, grief, or regret. For example, she lamented the loss of her childhood home, or many learners lament not starting English earlier. Say it with me. Lament. Again, lament. Now in a sentence, he lamented the missed opportunity. Excellent. Now let's practice meticulousness. This is the quality of being very careful, paying close attention to detail. For example, her meticulousness in checking grammar improved her writing. Or, meticulousness is important when practicing pronunciation. Repeat after me. Meticulousness. Again, meticulousness. Now, in a sentence, his meticulousness impressed his teacher. Very good. Another advanced word is nostalgia. This means a sentimental longing for the past. For example, she felt nostalgia when she saw her old school, or sometimes watching old movies gives me nostalgia. Say it with me, nostalgia. Again, nostalgia. Now in a sentence, he spoke with nostalgia about his childhood. Wonderful. Next, let's try ostracize. This means to exclude someone from a group or society. For example, the group ostracized him after the argument. Or, some learners feel ostracized if they don't speak fluently, but they should keep trying. Say it with me. Ostracize. Again, ostracize. Now, in a sentence, she felt ostracized by her classmates. Excellent. Another powerful word is placate. This means to calm someone down or make them less angry. For example, the manager placated the upset customer. Or, teachers often placate nervous students before exams. Say it with me. Placate. Again, placate. Now in a sentence, he placated his friend after the misunderstanding. Great. Let's practice them together in reflection. Sometimes learners lament their mistakes, but meticulousness helps them improve. Nostalgia may remind you of past struggles, but never let it make you sad. Don't ostracize yourself by avoiding practice. Instead, placate your fears and move forward. Now, let's continue. Quell. This means to put an end to something or to calm emotions. For example, the teacher quelled the noisy class. Or, breathing deeply can quell your nerves before speaking English. Say it with me. Quell. Again, quell. Now, in a sentence, he managed to quell his anger. Excellent. Next is revere. This means to deeply respect or admire someone or something. For example, the students revered their wise teacher. Or, many people revere great writers for their words. Repeat after me. Revere. Again, revere. Now in a sentence, she was revered for her kindness. Very good. Another advanced word is substantiate. This means to provide evidence to support something. For example, the lawyer substantiated his claim with proof. Or, always substantiate your arguments in English writing. Say it with me. Substantiate. Again, substantiate. Now in a sentence, he substantiated his opinion with facts. Wonderful. Now let's try tangible. This means something real, concrete, and touchable. For example, the progress was tangible after months of study, or writing notes gives you tangible results. Say it with me, tangible. Again, tangible. Now, in a sentence, the success brought tangible benefits. Excellent. And one more advanced word here, vindictive. This describes someone who wants revenge or holds a grudge. For example, he had a vindictive attitude toward his rival. Or, don't be vindictive toward yourself for small mistakes. Say it with me, vindictive. Again, vindictive. Now in a sentence, she was vindictive after the betrayal. Great. Here's a mini reflection with these words. When learning, always substantiate your knowledge with practice. Celebrate tangible results. Revere your teachers and mentors for their guidance. Quell your nervousness and avoid being vindictive toward yourself or others. And remember, meticulousness will make you stronger every day. The next advanced word is wistful. This means having a gentle sadness or longing for something. For example, she gave a wistful smile when she remembered her childhood. Or, sometimes I feel wistful when I think about moments I missed. Say it with me, wistful. Again, wistful. Now in a sentence, he looked wistful as he watched the sunset. Excellent. Now let's practice altruistic. This describes someone who is selfless and cares for others without expecting anything in return. For example, her altruistic nature made her volunteer every weekend. Or, being altruistic creates kindness in communities. Repeat after me, altruistic. Again, altruistic. Now in a sentence, he was altruistic, always putting others before himself. Very good. Another advanced word is bellwether. This means something or someone that shows the direction of future trends. For example, the company's success became a bellwether for the entire industry. Or, technology often serves as a bellwether of social change. Say it with me, bellwether. Again, bellwether. Now in a sentence. This project was the bellwether of their new approach. Wonderful. Next is circumspect. This means being cautious, careful, and considering risks before acting. For example, he was circumspect in making investments. Or, be circumspect when choosing who to practice English with online. Say it with me, circumspect. Again, circumspect. Now in a sentence, she was circumspect about revealing personal details. Excellent. Another powerful word is dormant. This means inactive for a time, but capable of becoming active later. For example, the seeds lay dormant in the soil until spring. Or, your English skills may feel dormant, but practice will awaken them. Say it with me, dormant. Again, dormant. Now in a sentence, the volcano had been dormant for decades. Great. Let's tie these together in practice. Sometimes your skills lie dormant, but with altruistic friends helping you, you feel stronger. A bellwether of progress is when you begin to think in English. Stay circumspect in choosing study resources, and if you ever feel wistful, use that feeling to motivate your learning. Now let's keep going. Ephemeral. This means lasting for only a short time. For example, the rainbow was ephemeral, disappearing in minutes. Or, motivation can be ephemeral if not supported by habits. Say it with me. Ephemeral. Again, ephemeral. Now, in a sentence, happiness from shopping is ephemeral. Excellent. Next is fortitude. This means courage and strength in facing difficulties. For example, she showed great fortitude during the crisis. Or, learning English requires fortitude and patience. Repeat after me. Fortitude. Again. Fortitude. Now, in a sentence, he faced the challenge with fortitude. Very good. Another advanced word is gregariousness. This is the quality of enjoying being social and friendly. For example, her gregariousness made her popular. Or, gregariousness helps English learners practice more often. Say it with me. Gregariousness. Again. Gregariousness. Now, in a sentence, his gregariousness brought energy to the group. Wonderful. Now let's practice hierarchy. This means a system where people or things are ranked by importance or level. For example, the company had a strict hierarchy, or language has a hierarchy of basic words and advanced ones. Say it with me. Hierarchy. Again, hierarchy. Now, in a sentence, there was a clear hierarchy in the organization. Excellent. And one more. Inept. This means clumsy, unskilled, or not good at something. For example, he felt inept at cooking, or, at first I felt inept at speaking English, but I improved. Say it with me. Inept. Again, inept. Now in a sentence, her inept handling of the situation caused problems. Great. Here's a reflection practice. At the beginning, I felt inept in English conversations, but I developed fortitude and kept going. My gregariousness gave me practice opportunities. I understood the hierarchy of words, from simple to advanced. I avoided ephemeral motivation by creating habits, and I tried to live altruistically, helping others as I learned. The next advanced word I want you to learn is jubilant. This means feeling or expressing great joy and happiness. For example, the team was jubilant after their victory, or I felt jubilant when I finally spoke English confidently. Say it with me. Jubilant. Again, jubilant. Now, she was jubilant when she passed the exam. Excellent. Now let's try kinetic. This relates to movement or energy in motion. For example, the children played with kinetic energy. Or speaking English adds kinetic energy to your practice. Repeat after me. Kinetic. Again, kinetic. Now, in a sentence, the dance was full of kinetic movements. Very good. Another advanced word is lucrative. This means producing a lot of profit or being financially rewarding. For example, he found a lucrative job in finance. Or, English can open the door to lucrative career opportunities. Say it with me. Lucrative. Again, lucrative. Now in a sentence, the business became very lucrative. Wonderful. Next is mundane. This means ordinary, dull, or lacking excitement. For example, he was tired of mundane tasks at work. Or, don't let your practice feel mundane. Add fun activities. Say it with me. Mundane. Again, mundane. Now, in a sentence, she wanted to escape her mundane routine. Excellent. Another strong word is notion. This means an idea, belief, or opinion. For example, he rejected the notion that learning English was impossible. Or, I agree with the notion that practice builds confidence. Say it with me. Notion. Again, notion. Now in a sentence, she had the notion to travel abroad. Great. Let's bring them together in practice. At first, the notion of learning thousands of words felt daunting, but I discovered that English opened lucrative opportunities. My lessons became jubilant moments of success. I avoided mundane routines by adding kinetic speaking exercises, and every day, I believed in the simple notion that practice creates progress. Now, let's continue with more. Oblivious. This means not aware of or not noticing something. For example, he was oblivious to the noise around him. Or, some learners are oblivious to their mistakes until corrected. Say it with me. Oblivious. Again, oblivious. Now in a sentence, she was oblivious to the time while reading. Excellent. Next is pristine. This means pure, clean, or in perfect condition. For example, the beach was pristine, untouched by pollution. Or, you can keep your notes pristine by organizing them carefully. Repeat after me. Pristine. Again, pristine. Now in a sentence. He wore a pristine white shirt. Very good. Another advanced word is resonate. This means to produce a strong emotional effect or to echo. For example, the speech resonated with the audience, or some English phrases resonate with me and I remember them easily. Say it with me. Resonate. Again, resonate. Now, in a sentence, her words resonated with everyone in the room. Wonderful. Now let's try scrutiny. This means careful examination or observation. For example, the plan came under close scrutiny, or your English writing will improve under the scrutiny of a teacher. Say it with me, scrutiny. Again, scrutiny. Now in a sentence, the project faced public scrutiny. Excellent. And one more. Trivial. This means unimportant or of little value. For example, he wasted time on trivial matters. Or, don't worry about trivial mistakes when speaking English. Say it with me. Trivial. Again, trivial. Now, in a sentence, they argued over a trivial detail. Great. Here's a reflective practice. Sometimes we worry too much about trivial errors, but under scrutiny, those small mistakes don't matter. Focus on what resonates with your goals. Keep your practice pristine and well-organized. Don't stay oblivious to your weaknesses. Instead, turn every lesson into a jubilant step forward. The next advanced word is unanimous. This means when everyone fully agrees on a decision. For example, the decision to start the project was unanimous. Or, the students were unanimous in wanting more practice. Say it with me, unanimous. Again, unanimous. Now in a sentence, the committee reached a unanimous agreement. Excellent. Now let's practice voracious. This means having a huge appetite, either for food or for knowledge. For example, he was a voracious reader who finished 3 books in a week. Or, be a voracious learner of English vocabulary. Repeat after me. Voracious. Again, voracious. Now, in a sentence, she had a voracious appetite after the long hike. Very good. Another advanced word is waning. This means decreasing, fading, or becoming weaker. For example, the moon is waning tonight, or her interest in the subject was waning. Say it with me. Waning. Again. Waning. Now in a sentence, his energy was waning after hours of study. Wonderful. Next is yearning. This means a deep longing or desire for something. For example, she had a yearning to travel the world. Or, many learners feel a yearning for fluent English conversations. Say it with me. Yearning. Again. Yearning. Now in a sentence, he felt a yearning for home. Excellent. Another advanced word is zealousness. This means strong enthusiasm and passion for a goal. For example, her zealousness impressed her teachers. Or, show zealousness in your daily English practice. Say it with me. Zealousness. Again. Zealousness. Now in a sentence, he approached the project with zealousness. Great. Let's bring them together in practice. A unanimous decision to study together gave the group motivation. Each student had a voracious appetite for learning. Even when their energy was waning, their yearning for fluency kept them going. Their zealousness became the fuel for progress. Now let's continue with more. Adversity. This means difficulty or misfortune. For example, she showed courage in the face of adversity, or adversity is part of every learning journey. Say it with me. Adversity. Again. Adversity. Now in a sentence, they grew stronger through adversity. Excellent. Next is benevolence. This means kindness and generosity. For example, her benevolence towards strangers was inspiring. Or, show benevolence to yourself while learning. Repeat after me. Benevolence. Again, benevolence. Now in a sentence, the charity was built on benevolence. Very good. Another advanced word is catalyst. This means something that causes change or sparks progress. For example, the teacher's advice was the catalyst for her improvement. Or, watching English movies can be a catalyst for learning new words. Say it with me. Catalyst. Again, catalyst. Now in a sentence, the event was a catalyst for change. Wonderful. Now let's practice diligence. This means careful and persistent effort. For example, her diligence in studying paid off. Or, with diligence, you will master advanced English. Say it with me. Diligence. Again, diligence. Now in a sentence, diligence brings success. Excellent. And one more word. Equanimity. This means calmness and composure, especially in difficult situations. For example, he handled the stressful exam with equanimity. Or, equanimity helps you stay focused while practicing English. Say it with me. Equanimity. Again, equanimity. Now in a sentence, she maintained equanimity under pressure. Great. Here's a reflection practice. Adversity will come, but with diligence, you can overcome it. Show benevolence toward yourself. Find catalysts that energize your study. Even when energy is waning, equanimity keeps you calm. Stay zealous, stay strong, and keep that yearning alive. The next advanced word is formidable. This means inspiring fear, respect, or admiration because of size, strength, or skill. For example, the mountain was a formidable challenge, or speaking to native speakers may feel formidable at first. Say it with me. Formidable. Again. Now in a sentence. She proved to be a formidable opponent. Excellent. Now let's practice gratuitous. This means unnecessary, unwarranted, or without reason. For example, the film was criticized for gratuitous violence, or don't add gratuitous words in your English writing. Repeat after me. Gratuitous. Again, gratuitous. Now in a sentence, his comment was gratuitous and unhelpful. Very good. Another advanced word is hypothetical. This means imagined, supposed, or based on assumption. For example, let's discuss a hypothetical situation where you travel abroad, or teachers often use hypothetical examples to explain grammar. Say it with me. Hypothetical. Again, hypothetical. Now in a sentence, she gave a hypothetical example to illustrate her point. Wonderful. Next is inevitable. This means certain to happen, unavoidable. For example, it is inevitable that practice leads to improvement. Or, mistakes are inevitable when learning. Say it with me. Inevitable. Again, inevitable. Now in a sentence, change is inevitable. Excellent. Another advanced word is juxtaposition. This means placing two things close together for comparison or effect. For example, the artist used juxtaposition of colors to create contrast. Or, in English, the juxtaposition of formal and informal words teaches context. Say it with me. Juxtaposition. Again, juxtaposition. Now, in a sentence, the essay used juxtaposition to highlight the differences. Great. Let's join them together in reflection. At first, English may feel like a formidable challenge. Mistakes are inevitable, but avoid adding gratuitous worry. Teachers may use hypothetical examples and juxtaposition of ideas to help you see patterns. Each step is moving you closer to success. Now let's keep building. Lucid. This means clear and easy to understand. For example, the explanation was lucid and simple. Or, aim to give lucid answers in Eng. Lish. Say it with me. Lucid. Again. Lucid. Now in a sentence, his writing was lucid and engaging. Excellent. Next is malevolent. This means having or showing a wish to harm others. For example, the villain had a malevolent smile. Or, avoid malevolent thoughts toward yourself when you make errors. Repeat after me. Malevolent. Again, malevolent. Now in a sentence, she felt a malevolent presence in the story. Very good. Another word is novel. This means new, original, or unusual. For example, she proposed a novel solution to the problem. Or, using songs to learn English is a novel method. Say it with me. Novel. Again. Novel. Now in a sentence. The scientist introduced a novel approach. Wonderful. Now let's try omnipresent. This means present everywhere at the same time. For example, technology feels omnipresent in modern life, or English is omnipresent across the internet. Say it with me. Omnipresent. Again, omnipresent. Now in a sentence, the company's logo was omnipresent at the event. Excellent. And one more here. Perseverance. This means continued effort despite difficulties. For example, she succeeded through perseverance, or perseverance is the secret to English fluency. Say it with me. Perseverance. Again, perseverance. Now, in a sentence, with perseverance, he reached his goals. Great. Here's a reflection practice. In the omnipresent noise of life, perseverance is what keeps you focused. Use novel methods to make English practice interesting. Keep your explanations lucid, avoid malevolent self-criticism, and face formidable challenges with confidence. Improvement is inevitable if you stay patient. The next advanced word is quagmire. This means a difficult, complicated, or dangerous situation that is hard to escape. For example, the country was stuck in a political quagmire. Or sometimes learners feel trapped in a quagmire of grammar rules. Say it with me. Quagmire. Again. Quagmire. Now in a sentence, he found himself in a financial quagmire. Excellent. Now, let's practice resilient. This means able to recover quickly from difficulties, strong and adaptable. For example, she was resilient after facing challenges. Or, a resilient learner continues practicing despite mistakes. Repeat after me. Resilient. Again. Resilient. Now in a sentence, children are often resilient after setbacks. Very good. Another advanced word is scrupulous. This means very careful, thorough, and honest. For example, the scientist was scrupulous in her research. Or, be scrupulous in checking your English essays. Say it with me. Scrupulous. Again, scrupulous. Now, in a sentence, he is scrupulous about telling the truth. Wonderful. Next is tenacity. This means determination and persistence in continuing despite obstacles. For example, her tenacity helped her achieve success. Or, tenacity is needed to reach English fluency. Say it with me. Tenacity. Again. Tenacity. Now in a sentence, he showed tenacity in solving the problem. Excellent. Another advanced word is unequivocal. This means leaving no doubt, very clear and direct. For example, she gave an unequivocal answer. Or, daily practice shows your unequivocal commitment to learning. Say it with me. Unequivocal. Again, unequivocal. Now, in a sentence, his statement was unequivocal. Great. Let's join them together in practice. At times, learning English feels like a quagmire, but resilient learners move forward with tenacity. They remain scrupulous in their study habits, and their unequivocal belief in success helps them achieve their goals. Now let's continue. Vindicate. This means to prove right, to clear from blame. For example, the evidence vindicated his claim. Or, success will vindicate your effort in English practice. Say it with me. Vindicate. Again, vindicate. Now in a sentence, her decision was vindicated by the results. Excellent. Next is wholesome. This means promoting health, well-being, or moral goodness. For example, they enjoyed a wholesome meal together. Or, choose wholesome activities when practicing English, like reading positive stories. Repeat after me. Wholesome. Again, wholesome. Now in a sentence, the movie had a wholesome message. Very good. Another advanced word is yearn. This means to have a deep longing or desire for something. For example, he yearned for freedom. Or, many students yearn to express themselves fluently in English. Say it with me. Yearn. Again. Yearn. Now, in a sentence, she yearned to travel abroad. Wonderful. Now let's practice zephyr. This means a soft, gentle breeze. For example, a cool zephyr blew across the field, or her calm words were like a zephyr to my worried mind. Say it with me, zephyr. Again, zephyr. Now in a sentence, the zephyr made the evening pleasant. Excellent. And one more. Audacious. This means bold, daring, and willing to take risks. For example, he made an audacious plan to start his own business. Or, speaking to strangers in English is an audacious but rewarding step. Say it with me. Audacious. Again, audacious. Now in a sentence, her audacious ideas surprised everyone. Great. Here's a reflection practice. Your yearning for fluency may sometimes feel like a distant dream, but remember, every audacious attempt to speak brings progress. Stay resilient, keep your habits scrupulous, and let tenacity guide you. Even when things feel like a quagmire, your unequivocal focus will vindicate your journey. And like a refreshing zephyr, small successes will bring you wholesome joy. The next advanced word is benevolent. This means kind, generous, and wanting to do good. For example, the benevolent teacher helped every student succeed. Or, a benevolent attitude toward yourself makes learning easier. Say it with me. Benevolent. Again, benevolent. Now in a sentence, the charity was started by a benevolent woman. Excellent. Now let's practice cathartic. This means providing relief from strong emotions, often by expressing them. For example, crying can be a cathartic experience, or speaking freely in English can feel cathartic. Repeat after me. Cathartic. Again, cathartic. Now, in a sentence, writing in my journal felt cathartic. Very good. Another advanced word is discernment. This means the ability to judge well and make wise decisions. For example, she showed great discernment in choosing her words. Or, learners need discernment when selecting study materials. Say it with me. Discernment. Again, discernment. Now in a sentence, his discernment helped him avoid mistakes. Wonderful. Next is epitome. This means the perfect example of something. For example, she is the epitome of grace. Or, a dedicated student is the epitome of success. Say it with me. Epitome. Again, epitome. Now in a sentence, he was the epitome of confidence. Excellent. Another advanced word is fluctuate. This means to change, rise, or fall irregularly. For example, her motivation fluctuates depending on her mood, or confidence may fluctuate, but practice makes it stable. Say it with me. Fluctuate. Again, fluctuate. Now in a sentence, prices fluctuate every season. Great. And one more. Holistic. This means considering the whole system rather than just parts. For example, she takes a holistic approach to health, or take a holistic approach to learning English by balancing listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Say it with me. Holistic. And again, holistic. Now, in a sentence, we need a holistic view of the problem. Excellent. Here's one last reflection practice. Your progress may fluctuate, but perseverance will carry you through. With discernment, you can choose the right path. Show benevolence to yourself and let English practice be cathartic, releasing your fears. Be the epitome of dedication and take a holistic approach to reach true fluency. And now, we've come to the end of this Advanced English Vocabulary Masterclass. Today, you and I explored a vast collection of powerful words together, practicing their meanings, examples, and daily life sentences. Step by step, you've seen how advanced vocabulary transforms your communication, making you sound more fluent, confident, and expressive. Remember, learning words is not just about memorizing, it's about living them, using them in your conversations, and making them part of your own story. So I encourage you to practice these words out loud, write them in your journal, and bring them into your daily life. Because every new word you master is a tool that shapes your fluency and strengthens your English voice. Thank you so much for joining me in this lesson. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you never miss another episode. And please share this video with friends who want to grow their English skills too. Stay consistent, stay confident, and always keep moving toward your goals. This is Natasha, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Until then, keep practicing, keep learning, and keep shining.